Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's the Burning Wheel. And Agatha, it's time to do your goddamn job.
Yeah,
So,
right.
the king, King Larix, has just he's just finished having a conversation with, and I think Miro, you're present for this. You're in the nearby
Yep.
vicinity. You can overhear these things. The king has just had a conversation with someone who is very like badly affected by the cold. What would be like a person who, if they didn't have time to prepare for the sea, like if it got suddenly cold very fast,
Obviously a
it'd be
farmer.
bad
Yeah.
for them. Well, no. So
Any,
we talked about there not really being farms around here.
And maybe he's come
uh,
from far away and it took him a
what
couple.
about what about someone who's like a shopkeeper of some kind who has their
I
way
feel
out?
like if they're talking to the king, it might be like a horse master or somebody like that taking care of royal animals because they both have business and also, and yeah, you got to prepare. You got to get extra straw. You got to
Nice.
get.
Yeah, I like the
And
idea
they're
of.
associated with the court as well. Like this could be the master of horse
No, I
for.
think I think this is someone who's got a grievance with the king. Not like I'm your employee, sir. More like a hey, fuck you. Like you're responsible for this sudden change in weather because you're the king and God put you in charge. Yeah, someone who has had their like business like ruined. I like the idea of a non-noble but very rich, like someone who breeds horses. Is there like a name for like that isn't just horse breeder?
I don't know.
Okay, somebody. This.
If there is, I don't know it.
Yeah. So this guy, and he's had like a bunch of his horses die, because of the sudden cold, and he came. Yeah, he came before the king to be like, I'm ruined. Like what are you going to do about this? And the king's promised to send an inspector, someone to go and like look into it. But as this guy leaves angrily, the king turns to you, Agatha, and he says, "Have you any insight into this, witch? This is the weather is unseasonably cold for this time of year."
Yes. Well, we could ask.
And he kind of scowls, though I guess you can't see it, but he scowls and he says, "I would have hoped that you'd have had the time to do so already."
Well, Adam, can I flash back to me being like, why the fuck it's so cold?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. So if I recall correctly, so I have one of my bound domains is bound in ice and snow.
Mm-hmm.
So I could maybe ask those spirits about like why the cold has come early,
Mm-hmm.
and because spirits are able to reveal unto me this fact,
Yeah.
so I can make them rather than give me wises, they can just give me straight up information. So she could just know this already,
Yes.
about like what Miro did essentially,
As interpreted by the spirits.
as interpreted by the spirits. Or the other option is I could ask the spirits of shadow what they know, and they would actually know about Miro doing the thing.
Yeah, I don't think you would. You don't think you'd know to ask them. Like
That's
you're
the
like,
real
it's cold. Who do you ask? The spirits
yeah.
of the
It
cold.
makes sense that I would go to Bound and
Yeah.
Ice
Okay.
for it.
All right. So you're looking
Um,
for a
I don't know why I fucking closed the book. I was just looking at the thing for it, and then I closed it because I'm smart.
Here we go. Spirit binding. Page 311. Okay. Reveal unto me this fact from the spirits, spirits of the ice and snow.
So it just requires a strength 3 spirit.
Okay.
And so yeah, like we cut back to Agatha like on some like top of some tower of the castle, like some little like watchtower or parapet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like totally been like swept with snow and ice and everything. And she's up there like drawing this circle, and like preparing in this like frozen little like watchtower. And she's gonna yeah like summon one of these spirits to or bind one of these spirits to help her figure this out.
Okay.
So let's see if I need a strength 3 spirit, and I have spirit binding 5. I need some extra dice. I'm gonna try to get 2 extra dice from Cercination.
Okay, so you're gonna do an ob 2 cercination
Up
test.
to Cercination test.
Okay.
I will fork Spirit Wise and Symbology on this one.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll just do Symbology and then we'll save Spirit Wise for the Spirit Binding test. I think that makes more sense. And yeah, I think she took a long time. So this was like 4 hours of her up in the cold, fucking doing this nonsense. Working very slowly and carefully and like, rubbing her hands together. And,
Yeah, I mean, if you're exposed to this level of cold for 4 hours, there's going to be a health test involved here somewhere.
Great. Totally.
Okay.
I will hazard the health test.
Okay, so we'll do cercination, and then I'll get you make a health test, and then you can make the spirit binding test.
Great. So what is my ob? I guess my ob is 2. We already established.
Yeah, or I guess fort would be appropriate for that other test. Yeah.
Boop. So I get 3 successes.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So you get two extra dice.
so I get 2 extra dice for my spirit binding.
Okay. So we see you on this tower, the cold wind blowing, snow snapping at your robes as you draw out the circle.
And yeah, this circle is like a circle, obviously, and it's as if the outer edge of the circle is like a ledge, and there are icicles, but they all point towards the center. So there are these long, like spidery icicles, all converging in the middle, and like depictions of like the north wind, or the 4 winds, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Crom laughs at your four
And they're
winds.
like confluence. No, they fly above him. They are superior.
Okay, so let's have you make that fort test. Okay, so the thing takes what, an hour per
Yeah, but then I was taking my time, so I'm out there for 4 hours.
4 hours, right? Okay.
The binding itself is actually pretty quick, but the cercination takes a long time.
Okay. So your fort test here, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna say ob 3 because I can't decide what the ob is, so it's gonna be ob 3. And if you fail, I think the effects of the cold would just be, we'll call it a wound, right? Like,
Yeah, like I'm just fucked up for a while.
yeah, like a light wound, like a B4. You just like will mark a light wound.
Okay, cool.
If you fail this, just representing like your body being all fucked up and cold, getting some like taking damage, essentially getting frostbite.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead with that fort test.
Oh, actually, there's one thing that might.
Oh, you're an elf.
Because I'm elven,
Sort of.
sort of. So I have Essence of Earth. Did I page ref myself? I hope I fucking didn't. I page refed like a lot of these, but not all of them.
That is a good point, though. I forgot. Oh, I just opened right to the elf stuff.
Yeah.
What are
I'm
you? You're born of
Earth and Stone. Or
Essence of Earth. You do not feel cold and heat.
So I get a +1 die
Yeah.
to health and fort tests. Health and fort test for
Okay,
resistance.
so you get an extra die for this. Yeah.
Um,
I like that. Agatha's so black metal. Exactly. You're like kneeling in the snow,
oh, so I think
shrieking to the wind.
I just do not feel the effects of earthly cold and heat. They do not fall ill, ageless, etc. Do not have to take health tests for illness. Again, +1 die to fort test or health test for resisting fatigue and poison. Does this count as fatigue?
I think you still need to make this test.
I feel like it does count as
Yeah,
fatigue.
you get the test with the extra die.
Your body can keep itself warm, but it exhausts itself doing so.
Yeah.
Okay, so this totally makes sense. So
That's
I
true. It's not earthly cold, but it's debatable. But anyway, you take the die.
I mean, it is totally earthly cold being summoned by an unearthly thing, right? Like it's winter.
You
It's
and
not
you
like-
listen. You and Miro can have this debate in person. But anyway, yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead. So
okay.
you're being buffeted by the cold.
But I got a +1 mod. This was a fort test.
This is a fort test, yeah,
Right,
against
so-
ob 3.
I think it's ob 3. Let's see if I succeed. Nope.
Not looking good. Okay, so your physical form is you get frostbitten and harmed by this.
I like that maybe this is indicative that it's something more than a normal winter. Like I come up expecting to be fine. There's something about this cold that is cutting. So I take a light wound.
Yeah.
B4.
Yeah. Take whatever a B4. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
And then now I will make my spirit binding roll.
Okay. So spirit binding roll, ob 3, right?
Yep. And I will fork spirit wise.
Okay.
Yeah. Fork spirit wise.
That's a good religious question. Dave, is a rock thrown at you by an angel still an earthly rock? No, touched by an angel counts.
I'm not giving you an answer unless I can mark a religious diatribe test here. So
Fair. Later, once it becomes revealed that it's your fault that you summoned a horrific angel of winter, later you can have that debate with people at your trial. I didn't do it. The angel did it. Hey, there we go.
So I get 5 successes.
Nicely done. Do you want to roll any of those 3 6s? Do more successes give you?
Isn't
They're-
it already
it's
open-ended?
No. Yes, that's right. It already did it. Yeah, that's
so-
true. Yeah.
If I don't want this ghost to come back at me later, which I don't, so I'm going to spend a fate point to reroll a traitor.
Okay.
Because I can fully eliminate its clapback, but I don't get it.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll come back at me with strength 1. I still have a strength 2 spirit revenge.
Yeah, and
in
that
bank
the
from
the
elsewhere.
castle, the castle will get back at you by confusing or delaying you, and the spirits of the ice and snow will get back at you by obscuring or hiding something from you, right? Because this is a knowledge thing. The retribution is in exchange, basically.
Yeah, and I should have been rolling 9 dice there, but I rolled 8 because of my light wound.
Because you're wound, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Okay, so then I get information from the spirits about spirits of ice and snow.
So the sense that you get from these spirits, because again, spirit binding is very much the opposite of conjuring or summoning in that you don't get an embodied thing, right? You hear the voice of the wind. You
I
feel
feel and like maybe in the snow and stuff and the ice on the parapet, like I see like images, like there's a relief that forms briefly telling like a story.
Oh, I
And
think
like,
I love the idea of this. This would be like there'd be a cool CG like scene where the snow in front of you forms like sandcastles essentially of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see in this image of snow, this like perfect like white
Or
you're-
the fox sees. and
yeah,
it
I mean
tells
you
how to-
when
I
I'm-
perceive it anyway.
Yeah, when I refer to Agatha, I'm speaking both for the camera and when I say see, I mean perceive. But yes, yeah. So you perceive elation, excitement. The spirits, the spirits of ice and snow have been emboldened and empowered here. They've been loosened in a sense from the sort of wheel of seasons that turns, right? They've been allowed to essentially exist. They've been woken from their slumber early, and the city, you can kind of envision the city under a blanket of unending snow, frozen corpses laying in the street, the castle frozen over with ice, yeah, I think that the spirits, you feel their joy, and maybe we see like under your you don't wear anything over your eyes, right? You don't have
No,
a
no,
blindfold?
I
Okay,
just have,
so your eyes are like welling with tears of joy. They're freezing on your face, and you're
totally.
just full of this. You know how they describe freezing to death, where at some point your body just like gives up, and you're like, I'm gonna lie down, and it'll be nice, and I'll feel
You're,
warm
like,
and die.
pleasantly numb and sleepy. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel that feeling like deeply in your heart, that like the spirits they're loosened and they will never have to go back to spring, will never come, and they're so like joyful that they're just gonna bury everything in snow and ice as is their want. Yeah. So
Do I see anything about the fucking angel? responsible for all of this?
I think
Is
that
there
it's
like an image of her somewhere?
no. I don't think that I don't think the spirits know why this has happened, but they know that something has been broken. I think from what you get here, that something has done this. This isn't an
Yeah,
accident.
it's unnatural.
It is
obviously.
unnatural, obviously, but like especially unnatural. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think I already know how Agatha wants to spin this to the king.
So we cut back, and Miro, you have heard the king be like, why is this like this, and like looked to his sorceress. What do you say, Agatha?
And she's like pauses for a moment and then says, "My lord, you must imagine that all this time that your god was alive, he was seated on his throne, and under his throne was a box. And in that box, many things slept. And now that he has passed and fallen from his throne, the lid of that box is opened. Many things will emerge now, things that will change the world. One such thing has cursed us to this winter, a winter that will not end. The snow itself wishes to bury us all, see us frozen in the streets, dead. Someone has done this.
This is upsetting news to the king. To the king. So the king is kind of like, I think everyone pretty much assumes like God died and shit's fucked. But saying that like someone has done this, like in particular, he's just like, and he doesn't show it. He's really good at like, presenting, because he knows people are looking at him, and he kind of like is just like listening to you speak. Miro, do you respond to any of this, or are you just like listening into what the?
I'm just. I have an instinct about searching for signs of the angels. I feel like I think he has to say something. I think he says, "How do you know that this is a curse at all? Perhaps simply the will of a divine creature that we should be tested in some way."
So you step out of the crowd and just start speaking to the king's sorceress?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So when you step out of the crowd and you start to speak, the lady protector, Emma Greyblade, like takes a step forward. We can hear her plate armor like rattle slightly, and she kind of sneers and like takes a half step forward. The queen kind of like gets up in her chair like a little bit, like weirdo. As you step forward, and then the king, you succeeded at your "the king will remember you" test, right?
Yeah, he remembers me.
So the king puts his hand up to and he looks, and he's like, "It's fine, Emma." And she kind of like takes a step back and like folds her arms over her breastplate. And he's like, "Have you something to say, monk?" And he gestures like,
Yeah, so Mira bows obsequiously, heads up, and says, "In these trying times, it is harder than ever to ascertain, to understand God's will, enacted perhaps through his servants. This may
I love it. It's so good.
Maybe asking for a friend, but what if?
Okay, so I'm curious about the situation here, because you're both kind of like, are you in agreement here that like you're saying, Agatha, you're like, someone has done this, and Miro, you're like, yes, it was
has
someone
done
important,
most virtuously and nobly. Well, I called it a curse, and he's like,
okay.
it's not
So here's the thing: you're both
We
going to
are
make a roll to try to convince the king whether this is a curse or a blessing. Whether he takes action on it or not will come at a later time. But right now, Agatha, it sounds to me, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but Agatha, you're saying this is bad, and Mira, you're saying this is good. God's will, and it must be good.
Yeah,
Whatever God
yeah,
wills.
God wills
Yeah.
it, therefore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, Andrew. It's taking issue with the fact that you called it a curse more than anything.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So all this will do will affect the king's opinion of this situation. I think the side effect too, though, will be that like Miro, if you succeed, he'll be like, maybe you should stay here with me. Like maybe you should stick around. The two of you need to work on this problem together, right?
Oh,
God.
important to me then.
Yeah. Like it won't be like you're suddenly allowed to be like his personal advisor, but he'll be like, you're going to be Agatha's, like the two of you. I need an alternate viewpoint on this. Maybe the two of you should like come to me with an answer together.
Can one of you make the other tell me what I want to hear?
Yeah, Agatha, if you win, he'll dismiss Miro, but he'll dismiss Miro's idea, but he'll still like remember you, Miro. You'll have to come back with more proof or like
And-
something bigger.
Agatha's not like, this guy is a fucking idiot. as
No,
far
no,
as
that
Miro
can
is
be
concerned,
later.
Right? Like, I'm just like, this is obviously bad because of my firmly held like understanding of how the world works,
Yeah.
and that like winter is not supposed to last forever. I don't care if God says it should. God is wrong. Fuck that guy.
So I'm
His-
thinking this is like a persuasion versus suasion situation.
I think it's ugly truth because let's be real, Adam.
Ugly
Winter
truth.
lasting forever is bad. It's just bad. There's no way it's ever good under any circumstance.
God, you know, like I get what you're saying. I feel like this is ugly opinion though, because he's a religious man, and if it truly is God's will that the city be buried in ice and he gets to go to heaven, he doesn't want to interrupt that.
Well, Adam, here's the question.
Yeah.
Is this angel doing God's will?
Well, God's dead. The angel is doing the angel's will.
So, like,
But I don't. The thing is,
like,
like,
I appreciate where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
I
but
think-
the whole point is that I am stripping this situation down to its core, free of, because it's ugly truth, right? It's like I am cutting
Let's-
away bias.
let's read.
trying
I'm
to
gonna read the description of the skill. I think when it comes down to it, I may need to just die of fate this because I can't like. I get it. It just implies a truth that I'm not sure we're ready to just establish yet.
Well, and like,
Yeah.
I don't mean to say like that I am speaking the truth with a capital T, but just that like
Yeah, the singular ability to strip an argument to its bare naked course, stating the worst possible outcome.
right, like I'm saying all this stuff. I'm like, this is going to fucking end the
Okay,
world.
so
It's
here's
winter
the
forever.
thing.
This is a bad thing.
If your point is you and all your subjects will be dead, that's what's important.
yeah, totally. I'm like, this is
Okay,
gonna
it's
kill
not
everything.
spiritually relevant. Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
I'll-
just being like, I don't care if God wants this. This is bad.
Yes. So what you're
Everyone's
arguing,
gonna-
essentially, you're arguing the secular point of view. You and everyone else will die. Miro, you were saying if it's God's will, if God has sent us an angel to kill everyone, and that's what God wants, who are you to stop them? Like, see this as a blessing. Is that basically the point you're making here, Miro?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good. All right, significant. All right. Now, if this were the kind of thing that was like the king was going to act, and we may come down to that, this is merely the first thing. This is why we're not doing it as a duel of wits. This could lead very easily into a duel of wits in the future. But right now, this is just establishing a first thought in God's mind.
And yeah, like I think what I'm trying to get out of this is to get the king to like acknowledge that this is a problem. And
Sure.
right, that like
Priority, right? Like
Yeah.
he'll prioritize other things if Miro wins. If Miro is like,
this is how God
this
wants
is
the
a
world to be,
test.
so just
God is
carry on.
God and the angels are testing us. Cool. This is how we use role playing games to debate theology. Everybody, like, is it true if it's not God's will? Is a man's decision worth anything in the eyes of the angels? Okay, so
Dice.
Yeah.
So many dice.
so ugly truth versus suasion.
Yep.
Y'all can fork what's appropriate, but let's. So what do each of you so folks can follow along? What do each of you start with?
I start with 5 dice.
I start with 4.
Okay, 5 on 4. Okay, Agatha, do you have any forks?
Okay, so immediately jumping to mind, I have Apocalypse Wise.
Yes. This is an ugly truth about the end of the world. Yep.
reaching a bit more, I have spirit wise, and this information came to me from the spirits.
Yeah, the king. This is not for swaying the king.
The king doesn't. necessarily
You're
care.
allowed to have a point of view because he believes the spirits are listening to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Other things I have are I have bargaining. I don't think that really applies here. I can fork in astrology,
You can. Yeah. If you choose to.
and I will.
Okay.
I absolutely will. And I don't think it's appropriate for me to use etiquette here because I'm actually being very blunt.
You're being rude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I have 2 forks. Whether or not you want to give me an advantage die to this because of my fucking spirit binding and ensorcellating that I have pursued in the past. That is up
I
to you.
think it's countered by the fact that you're still a heathen and that the
Yep.
king is religious, and a monk telling him this, I think is more like. And this is honestly what he wants to hear, because Miro is telling him like, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. Mira's just like, yeah, don't worry about it, homie. Right? Like,
Right. He wants to
cool.
hear that. So
And I'm being like, you have to like
Yeah,
do work and build
People
communities.
are like blaming him for this.
right.
this
Yeah.
link.
Someone just said it's your fault, and now he can be like, pass the buck.
Yeah.
The throne of God, my friends.
All right. Well, let me assemble mine pool.
Okay, so for you, Miro, you start with 4. What forks do you have?
I believe I have Emperilia, my knowledge of angels and the way in which they work.
Yes.
I think I can call upon Doctrine. He knows the scriptures as well.
Right, you
He
can
will-
manipulate him by calling on like, King Sereth V and his
So-
crisis of whatever. Yeah.
Here's my question: is Miro acknowledging that like angels are doing this and claiming that he knows that angels are doing this? Because if that doesn't factor in, then I don't think.
Yeah,
Imperial.
Imperial. Yeah, I was under the impression that you were saying like this is the work of an angel.
Yes. Yeah, like I don't think it occurs to him to like keep those cards close to his chest.
No,
I think-
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and that's totally yeah.
You're stopping just shy of it's an angel, and I know this because I made it.
because I
happen.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one missing piece.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
this nerd.
So that's 4. You got 6 dice. Yeah.
And I think I can also talk in religious diatribe because I will start to get angry about this.
Right. This faithless witch. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all are tied, right? And Agatha has one of them is an astrology die.
One of them is an astrology die.
All right, my friends. Roll your dice. Unless is anybody spending persona? You both have 1.
I'm gonna spend my persona. I was gonna say that I was
All
gonna
right.
do
So
that.
Miro, you're spending your persona for an extra die.
Yeah, I figure it's time to pump some stuff into Suasion. It's gonna be a lot of this campaign for me.
Okay. All right. So this conversation, I think, draws the attention of the court, right? It's now become a thing worth watching.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So roll everybody. Both of you roll everything except for that astrology die, and then
Yeah,
and then
no,
Agatha,
I'll roll
you'll roll that. You'll roll that last.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Let me just make sure I'm doing this all correctly. I think I might have been adding an extra die. Because my forks are apocalypse wise and astrology strictly.
Yes.
what we-
So you'll
Okay,
roll.
yeah,
You'll
so
add
I'm only-
1 to this
I'm
roll.
only modding 1.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think I might have wrote that down. Okay.
Ooh, boom. All right.
All successes.
Five
my win
successes.
still counts against me.
Yeah, 5 successes. Okay. Suasion's got 2. Okay, now hang on.
I've got to roll my astrology.
You've got to roll
die,
your astrology die because you said you're going to.
So I do. It
Okay, so
doesn't
it's
help me,
just a
but
fail,
whatever.
not a vacuum fail. Now, do you want to spend your fate
Wait.
to open that
Fate,
6?
fate.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
I'll
right.
spend my fate as well.
All right. So both of you spend a fate point. Reroll
I don't
those.
know why I'm spending it because I don't even have a belief about this, but I just want to win.
Yeah. You want to roll your fate first, or shall I?
Okay. So your
Mine-
fate doesn't.
Fate is not on my side.
Okay. Fate is not on your side. Miro gets an extra success, but it's not going to be enough. All right. So, yeah. So the established failure here was that he leans on Agatha to fix
Yeah.
this. So he says to you, he says to you, Miro, he says, he doesn't know your name yet, right? You didn't introduce yourself before.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. I think he remembers. So he says, thank you for your counsel, Brother Miro. These are trying times, and the words of a man of faith mean more now than you can know. And he smiles beatifically, and he says, and he turns to Angus, and he says, I trust my advisor to help me interpret God's will, and I pray that this foul weather, be it natural, divine, or, and he like looks pointedly at Agatha, otherwise, will see us through this time of a crisis of faith. And he kind of like nods to you like, okay, you're done talking now, Miro. Like, thank you. He's very polite and kind. I will leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you, Dave, whether Miro is like, yeah, the king, cool, the king heard me. Or if you're like, that's bullshit. And like, you know.
I
No,
mean,
you must bow before the angel.
I mean, this could very easily become a new belief for you if you want to discard and change a belief to be like, the witch has poisoned the king against me. Like, we could go there. But just
Wow.
tell me in the moment, what does Miro do?
yeah. So the king like specifically says about like we'll pray and we'll be through these trying times, and yeah, like Miro gets angry about it. His expert knowledge is being discarded to
Yeah.
listen to the heathen. He says, Your Grace, with all due respect, were you truly to pray, you would not require the assistance of some witch, some heathen. We all know. Perhaps this may well have been caused by her and her cavorting with the demons.
Oh my god.
Right, like literally here, Agatha is like, could be interpreted as like a bride of the devil. Yes, yeah, that she is laying with the goat-legged one.
I'm laying with all kinds of people.
Yeah,
Just
it's
so-
cool. So what are you doing here? What is your so you're like you're gonna escalate to being like heretic, like she's a bad influence. What do you?
If I may,
Yeah.
if he is accusing me of doing his crime,
Yes,
it's
I know.
not using diatribe or any of that shit. He's straight up rolling falsehood.
So
Motherfucking
I guess
lying.
I want to know what your intent is here, Miro. What do you want?
I don't think he's good enough. Like he doesn't have persuasion. He's not a good enough like speaker when it's not on religious stuff in itself. He can't push his own agenda here. I think he's actually just getting mad and he kind of just lashes out at this woman who he sees as like now his opponent in his belief that he should be the one whispering in the king's ear.
Right. So I don't think Miro knows he can't succeed, but like you're suffering not a witch to influence your king, right? You've made an enemy this day, or at least Agatha has made an enemy. Whether she thinks that of you or not is totally up to her. But
So
you're just shouting and being like, "Witch! Like, how can you let this happen?"
Yeah, the
Okay.
intention is to open the king's eyes that his current advisor is inadequate by
Right.
smearing.
Sure. Okay. So
What a
you're
piece of garbage.
you're setting aside the common like it's okay. That's fine. We have a disagreement here, and just being like, nope, witch. Okay. So I think it's gonna be a very difficult religious diatribe
Is
test.
how I straight go.
Yeah, very difficult religious diatribe test here. So the king's. Have we established the king's will? Alessandra, did you have to roll against?
It was either 5 or 6. I think it was
I
6.
think it was 6.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't less than mine. I think
I'm
it was equal to mine.
I'm gonna start I'll start a character sheet for him. What's his
Put up,
full
put up.
name?
It is
Oh, he's King Tomas Dragomir.
Tomas.
He's Tomas
Yeah, Tomas.
Dragomir Lyrics the 14th, I think.
It's a 16th.
16th? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet 16th.
All right, King Tomas Dragomir Lyrics the 16th, who has a will we have now established as being 6. Okay, cool. So yeah, you're gonna make a religious diatribe test against Ob 6. and you're at a disadvantage here. I think it's going to be Ob. I'm going to say Ob 8 because the court here is on. They don't. I don't think they like Agatha, but they know her, and you're being crazy.
Oh,
And
actually,
also-
here's why. Here's why. He is fighting against my reputation at court as being a reliable oracle.
Right? Yeah.
But also, Adam,
Yeah.
hasn't the king already in the previous engagement decided Agata's the right choice? So isn't this just like taking the consequence of that action? And
So no, what this is, I think these are. I was thinking about that because let it ride. But what Miro doesn't want, what he wanted before. We can have both. If Miro somehow by some miracle succeeds at this, the king will be like, "I'm going to listen to Agatha." But she's also probably a witch in bed with the devil.
Okay, all right. It's for a different thing. I just wanted to make sure we weren't overriding a consequence that had already
I
played
kind
out.
No.
of like that.
So
result.
what'll happen
I'm
here is
going
that
to listen to her, but she's probably a
yeah.
witch.
So this will be like he's gonna have to acknowledge that like, oh boy, like yep, I am having some problems. And I mean this is how we eventually lead to like a witch king. Or he's gonna go under a crisis of faith and like I don't know, shave his hair and become a monk or something. But wouldn't that be interesting for Alessandra if the king suddenly was like, "Nope, gonna go become a priest. I'm out."
Can't bone.
Bye.
Throws
Really
down his crown. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, no, I like that. So yeah, thank you for keeping an eye on that. So this is different consequences. So obstacle, what do we say? One for the reputation being a problem, and then another one for the king just generally
Just
like.
that previous failure
Yeah.
already kind of discrediting.
All right, so Ob 8, religious diatribe.
Okay.
If you fail, you're dragged from the court.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Still ranting and
Yeah.
shaking your fists.
Yeah.
Hit it up.
I have this full list of traits that's telling me right now this is the only way to react to being snubbed.
Yeah.
Zero.
So what's great here is this scene. The scene is very much the scene from like every disaster movie ever, where like the climate change scientist is like, no, you have to listen. You're being dragged from the room away from the president, and the president's
She's
like,
the devil! She's the devil!
I swear it, I saw her with the goat under the moon, and like being dragged away, and everyone's like, oh, this crazy monk.
Agatha can't even watch this happen, so she's just looking blankly into space while he's being dragged away.
Hey, Adam, is it Emma Greyblade that does the dragging? Or
Yeah, so I think Emma steps up and no, you know what? She has to stay with the king. So she looks to the crowd, and there's some like guard. They're not like the king's guard, but there's some guards around, and she looks to them and is just like, okay, get him out of here. And so two guards in the house lyrics like they come up and grab you, and they're like, come on, brother. And at this point, I want to know. So, do you like go into like an epileptic fit here, or are you just shouting? Like, is this a frothing from the mouth, like trembling kind of thing, or are you just angry and yelling?
Because you are mad.
Yeah, yes, that's why.
And
I asked.
demented.
And yeah.
But I
So
want to
there's-
know. I want to know the color of that. I want to know if this is, are you still?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mixture of like indignant, like righteous anger, and kind of like it's not outward kind of violence, but you see him kind of like bite his lip, and like clench his fists, and like since he's like not very well kept, like his nails like cut into his, well, he can only do it with one hand, but you see like blood starting to come from one of his hands as he's like waving it in the air, and like flecks kind of come out, and he just like looks like really, really crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not lashing out at people because he wouldn't.
So
do that,
what's
right.
great is that we see the crowd, we see the various faces of the crowd looking at you, and like I think they're all too like no one is like laughing at you. This is not funny to anyone. And we're gonna cut to Joy. If you were at the king's side here, you could make this funny. But because there's no fool, everyone's like, "Oh God, this is horrible!"
Like God is dead. The world is going to end in.
They're terrified. No one wanted to believe Agatha. No one. They wanted the monk to be like, "It's fine. It'll pass. God is testing us." But we've just seen the voice of what they perceive to be reason dragged from the room, spitting blood, and they're just like, oh God, like we're all doomed. This is hell.
I feel like the like dragging and yelling is when like myself and the fool like walk back in like at the end of things like from wherever
Yeah,
we
Oh,
went.
I want the two of you to miss the scene completely,
Oh,
so
like we don't
that
see it at all?
Joy has no opportunity to make it funny. I like it better. I
Okay.
think that it's like awful, right?
Okay.
And so the court falls, and we can hear like
That's actually gonna work out for me later.
we can hear the courtiers, like a few of the younger like women in the court, and I think we actually we see your cousin, your young cousin, like crying. She's trying not to, but she's like sobbing into her hands in terror.
Aww.
And like and everyone in the room is just like, that was horrible. I didn't want to. Why did that happen to us? Meanwhile, elsewhere, if you two are okay with it, let's take a break, and then we'll give you lots of room to have that
fine.
scene. Okay,
Of course.
because Reza's going to interrupt because he watched you, and then I also have to introduce an NPC sometime before the end of the like court scene.
Okay.
So maybe you'll see him in a hallway first before he meets the court. But anyway, cool. Stick around. We've got another hour of Burning Wheel when we get back.